Hello, everybody. It's me, John White, and this is another episode of This Boxing Game, somewhat a regular podcast that I record, during which I embark on a tour de horizon of the boxing landscape, discussing and analysing both contemporary and historical events and matters arising from the sport as a whole. Today, I want to discuss one of the most remarkable things that I ever encountered in a boxing gym. And that was in the run up to Justin Fortune's fight against Lennox Lewis in 1995. This fight took place on the 2nd of July at the Point Arena in Dublin. I was at the fight, and I was also at the Freddie Roach's then Outlaws Boxing Club on the corner of Hollywood and Highland, where Justin was getting ready for his fight. This was a great gym. It was my first entree into boxing was at this gym. I'd gone over to LA to hook up with Bradley Welsh, a young up-and-coming Scottish lightweight from Edinburgh. Brad had had about 8 professional fights, undefeated. He was being talked up as a future prospect. He won the ABAs after just coming out of prison in the early 90s, so he had a great backstory. Well-known Edinburgh character, he'd been a football casual, and here was him trying to find redemption in boxing. And he was a feature regular on the back pages of the Scottish press. And so I was just getting into writing, so I thought I could combine two things. One, a holiday in LA, because I'd been at the city before, I liked it there, I'd lived there for a year before. And also, being able to sort of try and make my own way as a sports journalist. Ended up living with Brad in Brad's apartment, which was just a short walk from the gym. Yeah, we had a great time. Those were great days. Brad was tragically and sadly killed in 2019. But in those days, he had huge charisma, a lot of confidence. I discuss all this in this book. Sorry about the plug, but Christmas is coming up. This boxing game that covers 20 years between 1985, when I first meet Freddie Roach at Outlaws, and then 3 weeks before the Pacquiao Mayweather fight, when I hook up with Freddie again in LA, but this time at Wildcard. But anyway, on this occasion, Brad had done well. Brad's career had gone by the wayside. He was homesick when he was in LA. He missed his girlfriend at the time. He missed his family, and despite having loads of talent and potential, things didn't go so well for him in the end. He had one fight over there and he lost. By then his focus had gone, and this was on a card that was headlined by Justin Fortune. Justin was an active heavyweight. You'll know him better today as Manny Pacquiao's strength and conditioning coach. Justin now has his own gym in LA, Fortune's Gym. I think it's on Melrose. I got on well with Justin, luckily for me, because he was a very aggressive guy, very mean, tough, didn't suffer fools. But at the time he'd had about 16 fights. I think he'd had one loss, and he was given the nod to fight Lennox Lewis after Lewis had lost his title to Oliver McCall in a major upset earlier that year. And because Lewis was handled by Frank Maloney, McCall by Don King, and those two hated each other, it meant that Lewis was locked out of the running, and he would have to bide his time before he got his shot at regaining his title, which he subsequently did. So he chose Justin as an opponent by which to stay active. The fight in Dublin went 4 rounds. There was a huge disparity in size, but also ability, and that was something that was brought home to me even before the fight, and during the lead up, when Justin sparred Tony TNT Tubbs. By this point, Justin was going through his sparring partners one after the other. He was dropping them, or he was giving them such a torrid time that they weren't coming back. This got to the point where Freddie said, "Look, you're going to have to lighten up with your sparring partners, because we're going to run out. We will not have anyone left to spar with." But Justin was getting ready for the biggest fight of his life, and he wasn't minded to lighten up on anybody. So things reached a crisis point, and Freddie was forced to bring in Tony TNT Tubbs with about 2 weeks to go. Now, Tubbs, as you may know, some of the avid historians of the sport among you, was a ex-world champion, had bags of skill, had a storied amateur career, won Golden Gloves, but he had lifestyle problems. He had a long-standing cocaine habit, spent all his money buying Rolls Royces, living the high life, and here he is now reduced to being a sparring partner for an up-and-coming prospect. What a come down that must have been. So the day in question, I'm there early. I want to see how this goes. And Tubbs is 15 minutes late, 20 minutes late. And you can imagine, Justin's now raging. He's pacing up and down the ring with steam coming out his ears. Freddie's keeping him warm by giving him some mitts. But he's raging because he's feeling disrespected. He's feeling insulted that this guy would turn up late, which on a certain level you can understand. When Tubbs turns up, he comes in with this old black guy, I recall, who had a limp, and this young woman, which was obviously his wife or his girlfriend, I can't remember now. And he's all smiles, he's all laughter, he's glad handing, he's backslapping, he's going around the gym. You think he was on a day out at Disneyland. And he was in terrible condition, super fat. I mean, he looked like he hadn't, you know, he looked like he just come out of Burger King up the street, the top of the street. So I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the difference in physique, I'm looking at the difference in demeanour, I'm looking at the aggression that's emanating from Justin, and I'm taking in the relaxed nature of Tony Tubbs and his demeanour, and I'm thinking this is going to be a public execution. Tubbs is going to get his arse kicked. The complete opposite. And this was one of the most salient lessons I've ever learned from all my time being around boxing. It's not a sport of biceps and triceps and aggression. It's a sport of skill and will and intelligence. Tubbs had Justin tied up within half a round to the point where Justin could not get anything off. I remember Tubbs had him against the ropes and had both his arms, splayed wide so he couldn't throw any punches. And then Tubbs was on the inside and he was hitting him with uppercuts. It was just wonderful to watch, revelatory in the extreme. But things were so bad for Justin that Freddie ended the spar early. I think he ended it after 4 rounds. I think they were scheduled to do 8. And by the end, Tubbs, while he was sparring with Justin, was giving Justin instructions, telling him what to do, how to position himself against the ropes. You imagine how much that must have rocked Justin Fortune's confidence, that he's been so dominated by a sparring partner that he's been given instructions just in weeks before the biggest fight of his life. This is no criticism at all of Justin. Justin was a very, very good fighter, but it just showed you the difference in ability and experience and ring IQ. So that's one experience I had. I'll share many more along the way. But for your interest, I have appended a video of Tony TNT Tubbs to the end of this podcast.